Today we're gonna be talking about the best and worst tattoo TikToks I could find, so let's jump into it. Okay, I know a lot of you guys have been saying like, hey Kirk, with these videos, you don't really show us enough good tattoos. And I feel ya, I hear ya. Look at this. Absolutely flawless tattooing. And there's no BS about this tattoo. Not changing anything with filters. That is just real strong, clean tattooing. Now, personally, this style is never a style I'm like gravitated towards, but when I see this tattoo, perfect, nearly perfect. And so many design choices that are like off the wall. There are so many design choices here that I would never make because honestly, don't know if I'm talented enough to do it. And he was able to pull this shit off perfectly. Woo! Okay, the value of a real tattoo apprenticeship.
Going to clean the area and give it a good shave.
Was it to make any adjustments? Or?
If you have any adjustments, like let me know now before we do the tattoo.
Just I wanted to incorporate the cross.
I will say before we actually get to the meat and potatoes of this tattoo, God, it drives me nuts when a client changes something 4 seconds before the tattoo. Look, I know as a client, you're like, hey, sometimes I didn't realize until like the moment before. I know. I'm not saying don't tell me. What I am saying is, as a tattooer, it still drives me nuts. If it happens, I'm gonna play it off super cool. I'm not gonna make you feel bad about that. But man, it's a bummer when I'm like laying a stencil and you're like, yeah, there's something I wanna add. And you're like, what? And they're like, I wanna change the whole damn thing. And you're like, sick, great, I love that for me. But yeah, and doing it to an apprentice is extra funny.
Somewhere to see maybe if you could go along his eye or something like that.
I want your a second opinion. So we're getting like we're putting like a cross on the eye because he wants to incorporate it. That kind of looks nice.
I normally line the cross up with the body. Make it bigger.
The cross? That's a void, right?
That's this is what tattoo apprenticeships should look like. The apprentice comes to the mentor, asks him for some help, and they get help. And this girl seems to be pretty far along in her apprenticeship journey. I mean, she's doing portraits of lions. So this is more of just like a collaboration between the two artists. But it is cool to watch like an apprentice who started as an apprentice and moves up the ranks into tattooer and is still able to use that mentor to go back and forth on tattoo ideas. She's asking for help. It's super cool. It is the value of what a tattoo apprenticeship is all about. On to the next. Shit, dude, we couldn't just all be nice and happy things. We gotta do this. We gotta throw in some fucking crown cover-up blast over thing. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, that's the face of regret, I would imagine. That was a gnarly decision. But I'm gonna guess that his ex-girlfriend's name above his eyebrow is better off being blacked out by this crown than still being there. I'm gonna guess he's happier with that crown than he would be with her name across his forehead. Or his name, or his boyfriend's name. I don't know, I don't judge. Who am I to say it wasn't a guy's name across his forehead? Who knows? But what we do know is that was a bad decision. You know, sometimes laser is what you should do. You know, like I know that maybe it won't end up being perfect, but it's still a lot better than this super blacked out crown going across your forehead. That is a tattoo. Just to be honest though, the rest of his tattoos look pretty meh too. So yeah, rough. Let's see the next one. When you're getting your soul blasted and your tattoo artist is practicing his Borat impression.
My wife. King of the castle, king of the castle.
I love that because as a tattooer, it doesn't hurt us. It doesn't hurt us at all. But the client, they are dying, literally. Like literally dying, and we don't feel bad about it at all. And this happens every client I have with the torso, whether it's the stomach or the chest. We start off, like they come in, they're all excited, they're all happy, and we're chit-chatting, we're goofing off. And then they get a little tattoo and they're like, still in pretty good spirits, you know, they're having a fun time. And then we hit the halfway point and they're not so happy anymore. And then we get to the end and I can literally see on their face, they want to die or murder me. And anything I say is they're pissed. And it's like this so ragey, you know? And I mean, I get it, dude. Getting your chest sucks. Getting your stomach sucks. But it is fun to watch, and you see them like crumble into this, like, you have fun, you don't have fun, adios. It happens every time. Every time we're doing a painful big tattoo like that, that's how it goes. Not this guy getting the tattoo is in a bad mood anymore, but he's just having to go through a lot of pain. And then there's the tattooer who's just like goofing off, just like it's any other day. That's the job, dude. We can't be sitting around caring about every single client when they're feeling pain. It's just not part of it. So yeah, next. Okay, so first off, I wanted to say how nice of a portrait that is on the forearm. And I know we spoke a little about this a few weeks ago. Like, hey man, maybe it's kind of weird to get portraits of people that you don't know on your forearm or on your body at all. And this one made me kind of laugh because you got a Tyson portrait on your arm and then you actually meet Tyson and he could fucking care less. He's like, bro, I've seen so many portraits of me on people, I do not care. Or maybe he didn't see it, who knows, who actually sees the whole video of it. But do you think Tyson cares that you have a portrait of him? Nah, he don't. He's just like, yeah, another fucking guy who's got a goddamn portrait of me. And he just cool guys him, you know? Just like cool breezes past, you know? It just makes me think like, why, maybe don't get a portrait of some guy who you don't know. Who am I? I'm not getting portraits of anyone anytime soon. I might get a portrait of my dog. And you know my dog could fucking care less about me having a portrait of her. She's not gonna look at it and think it was super cool. So I guess the moral of the story is if you're gonna get portraits of celebrities, don't expect them to care about it. Now I saw this one, and this one's done, the tattoo's done by Novello Tattoo. Don't know him, never heard of him. But when I saw this, something happened to my brain. Like when you pause it right here, you don't really think much of this tattoo. There's nothing like, wow, that's great, or wow, that's bad. It's just, you don't think anything of it. But once you get there, oh my God, just so simple, straightforward kind of tattooing, and it's just perfect. Just so clean and so, like I said, simple, fantastic. Like when I actually see her face, something happens to my eyes that I'm like, I see a real human being. And I'm like, how the hell did they pull that off with such simple, you know, like a lot of these are just like big rake marks, you know? They're nothing fancy. They're not putting a bunch of gray into this tattoo. They're not putting a bunch of unnecessary shit. And it just looks so clean. And when I say gray, I mean true gray. There might be some true gray in here. That's like when they use the actual color gray rather than like a wash of gray. I'm not a huge black and gray guy. I could never pull this off or never would want to. So when I talk about the technical side of black and gray tattooing, I'm always like, you know, kind of that thing. But I don't see a whole lot of unnecessary stuff. And I just see very clean, solid tattooing. Usually when I see like really good black and gray portraits or anything like that, I go, I wouldn't know where to start with this. But when I see this tattoo, I fundamentally, like as a tattooer, I see it and I'm like, I could do something like that. I could pull that off. It would be very hard, but I understand how they got there. And I just feel like this is so clean and so simple. It just looks great. Super cool tattooing. I like showcasing other styles of tattooing because I think there's something to be learned here, and that is less is more. And that is pretty much the whole reason for this channel, is to showcase good tattooing and to showcase like clean, simple tattooing and how great that looks long term. Yeah, fantastic, amazing, some of the best. Okay, now when I first saw this, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And that is pretty much what the comments are saying. A lot of trauma in the skin. Would it be more appropriate to use a mag or a round mag? Flat maybe? An M1 or a 9 mag needle? Flat maybe? The fuck is going on here? Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Shit line work being covered by shit shading. I do want to say, I'm gonna throw this out here, comments on shorts are gnarly. It's super fun. Yeah, they be leaving the worst kind of comments on shorts, but not really that important because when I saw this tattoo, my brain was like, what is happening? Why are they doing this type of tattooing like this? And why are they filling in so much space with such a tight needle? And then I saw the finished results. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. They're really going for this like speckly type of black and gray shading. I always say like, it's really not that important what I like and don't like. What is important is if it's a good tattoo or not a good tattoo. And the final results on a tattoo like this speak for itself. It's amazing, super nice, super clean. Would I tattoo something like that? Probably not. I don't think that the time is worth end results. And I'm not just talking about like, you know, what the tattoo is gonna look like today, but like what the tattoo is gonna look like fully healed down the road. I don't think that there's much difference between like just good black and gray shading done with a mag and this type of like 9-round liner, super tight shading stuff. But again, the results are phenomenal. And it is more of a, you know, more of a warning to myself, Daddy Kirk. Sometimes you see some shit and you're like, don't know what the fuck that is on the internet. And when you actually see it, you're like, ah, damn, I was wrong. Okay. This has been popping up all over my TikToks. I gotta be honest, dude. You know, obviously the tattooer here, great tattooer. That line work, very clean, phenomenal. But I'm not a huge fan of this, like, I'm gonna show you exactly what I used and the exact machine and the exact, you know, everything. We know that it was dynamic. We know the bolts it was at. We know the machine it was at, I believe. And we know the needle size. I think this gives people a little bit of false confidence. Like, I could literally, I mean this, literally set up a machine and hand it to you. And it would be exactly what I would use for a tattoo. The average beginner, you know, apprentice or, you know, kitchen magician, any of them would not be able to do half or even a quarter or even a fraction of a percentage of the tattoo I could do. And it's because like knowing something is important, but being able to do it is extremely difficult. Like I said, I could hand even my apprentice who's seen a lot of tattoos, who does a lot of work trying to figure out tattoos. At this point, he hasn't done any tattoos on anyone, and I could hand him a machine. It's gonna look like shit. That's how it works. So when I see things like this, I'm always like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm thinking like, oh, they're talking to me, dude. I see this, I'm like, oh, cool, that's rad. Like that's a nice, you know, oh, maybe I'll use a 7-round shader later down the line. But I don't think they're talking to me. I think they're talking to beginner tattooers who don't really know what they're seeing here. Yeah, it's popular these days, you know? People teaching other people how to do tattoos. That's essentially this. Okay, if your tattoo artist does this, run. Okay, so essentially they're talking about people copying tattoos. Look, a lot of times in a shop like this, people bring me an idea and they're like, I want this. And I have to be like, okay, I could draw something similar. It's just really important. Like in a perfect world, I would love to be like, yeah, you have to redraw something or you have to bring your own reference or modify the changes. You have to do that. It's important. Like if you want to be a tattooer, you can't copy anything ever. But we don't live in a perfect world. And in a world where tatters are just trying to make it, you know, I don't really mind too much if someone jacks someone's shit. I know, it's a controversial statement, you guys. I know. There's always this guy who points at the camera and he's like, this guy stole my stuff. I know, I don't care that much. I just don't. Like, I know that it's a bummer when someone rips someone off absolutely, completely, and yada, yada, yada. Like that means that there's 2 people in the world who have the same exact tattoo, and usually one's a lot better than the other, you know? And I'm like, yeah, that's a bummer. I don't care that much. I don't. I'm like, the chances of those 2 people meeting and being like, look, I have the same shitty tattoo that I stole from you, not that important to me. Not something that matters to me. What's interesting is if the tattooer got paid to do it, I'm like, hey, good for you. Get your money, bro. Now, am I telling you guys at home to start copying tattoos? Absolutely not. No. And am I saying like that I'm going to start copying and stealing people's tattoos? No. But I am saying that there's a few things that are funny. One, I'm a traditional tattooer. I steal shit from old tattooers constantly. Half of my wall back there is original and half is completely stolen. So for me in traditional tattooing, that's a part of the game. If you want to steal some of my old tattoo flash, feel free. If you even want to steal some of my tattoos, go for it. Don't know why you would. I'm not the greatest tattooer of all time, but go for it. Don't care that much. And I am like, for a lot of black and gray artists, a lot of them are pulling from the same exact reference as other people. So like he's showing you that's the case. A lot of them are pulling from the same reference, the same things. Most of them aren't drawing like a new cross or new thing. You know, that's not really how it works in black and gray. They like take images and they trace them because they need them to be portraits and they need them to be perfect. So like I'm not harping on them. That's just part of the style. But I'm always like, we're all stealing from someone. In a lot of cases, we're stealing from someone. And if someone can draw a perfect Michelangelo, why would you? Why wouldn't you just steal a picture of it and trace over it and do it like that? But yeah, and there's plenty of styles in tattooing where it's like, yeah, you have to draw everything. The neo-trad stuff that we saw earlier on the neck banger, you gotta draw it. The mandala stuff we saw, a lot of this stuff, you have to fucking draw yourself. But in tattooing, sometimes you steal stuff, and that's okay too. Dude, I told you guys, I got nothing but the best for you today. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I love this tattoo, but it's not really like, not my style, not something I'm interested in. But what I am interested in is people saying, no filter. This is what a tattoo from me actually fucking looks like, instead of them playing the filter game. And there's no part of me that can be like, I can't talk shit. Can't say, hey, there's a bunch of filters on it. Nope, there's not. This is just clean, solid tattooing. And in a world where every tattoo I see is like filtered up the ass, especially these like the most unique tattoos in the world or the greatest tattoos in the world, filter it to fucking hell and then show it to me. No, this is not what we're seeing. We're just seeing clean tattooing, what they actually can expect from this tattooer to pull off. And that's what I love. I love it. I'm into it. I like it. I want to see it from all the tattooers. And I want to see this trend taking over. If you see a tattooer that is putting a million filters, right? No filter, question mark, find out. Find out if it's a filter or not, because chances are it is. Just beautiful, finessing tattoos. I love it. Fabio Tattoo Artist. Clean as shit, dude. So cool. That's how tattooing is supposed to look. And we're not seeing any filters and it's just great. Just all around great. Like some of that great style tattooing. Dude, we're seeing some black and gray today, dude. We went into it. Okay. This is what my tattoo looked like. I was not happy after it healed. Lots of mistakes. So this one, you know, normally I don't go deep diving so hard into a tattoo. But this one, to me, I was kind of like, mistakes. I see style choices like not connecting lines, and I'm not a huge fan of the tattoo in general or whatever, but it is funny to me when I was like mistakes, like, oh, this client thinks that they are mistakes. And to me, I'm like, I see clean tattooing. Do I like it or not? No, obviously I don't want this tattooed, like I say, but there are style choices here that I'm like, those were obvious style choices. And so the only mistake I see from that tattooer is not explaining what the tattoo is supposed to look like. You know, like the tattooer didn't connect some lines on purpose. And they should have asked the client, hey, this is kind of part of my style. I don't always connect lines. And I use shading to help distinguish where the lines would be. And so you see this tattoo next to it where she's like, I got it fixed, it looks amazing. And you're like, what they really did was connect all those lines. And so I don't see much of a difference between tattoo A and tattoo B. I just see that those lines are fixed and they put some opaque grays, which I'm never a huge fan of, in there. But overall, it's not like the tattoo was bad in the beginning. The tattooer just didn't do a good job explaining themselves. Like, hey, I'm not gonna connect some of these lines. We are gonna use shading to connect the lines for us in some ways. So when it heals, don't come to me being like, hey, this line doesn't touch, doesn't matter. And that's like part of their style. Because I almost even think that the first one is a much better tattoo than the second one. They did all this fancy stuff, I don't know. But it goes to show like sometimes clients just need to be babied through the process. Like, hey, this is this, this is this, this is why I do this is what I do. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But at the end of the process, if you didn't go through all that steps, they're just left being like, oh, that person fucking sucks. And it's like, no, they made some choices, you didn't understand it, and now you're left unhappy and saying that the tattoo had a ton of mistakes when it didn't. Yep, next.
What are 2024 tattoo ins and outs?
I just wish blackboard would be out forever.
Black work. I hate black work.
It will never go, I guess.
Black work is trash.
Blackout.
It's the worst tattoo style.
Blackouts.
Yeah, but like
It's like, tell us that you don't want to spend money on lasering or don't have any patience, but then still end up spending the same amount as you would because you have to black out your tattoo like 5 times for it to look, and then you're gonna have to go over it with white and try to do some kind of like crappy design over it. It's terrible.
It's intriguing to watch.
That is funny. It's funny because I don't feel that way about black work. I'm surprised that a tattooer does feel that way. I've seen his work. He does like fine line stuff. He's not doing any of those blackout things. So no surprise that he doesn't like it because of that aesthetically. But I am always like, that's such a strange thing to not like. I love blacking shit out. You know why? You fucking grab that arm, you just, that's it. That's all you do all day. You know how much thinking it goes into it? You don't have to think about shit. You're just like, I'm gonna put this shit in and it's gonna be black and this person's gonna be all hella stoked. It's so easy, so fun to tattoo because of that. Very rarely in this job do you just get to go not thinking into it. It's like every little thing in a tattoo usually has, you're thinking about it for 4 seconds or 5 seconds and you're just like, yeah. That takes a toll. But at the end of the day on a blackout, the only thing you thought about was nothing, really. You just put it in, especially if you're decent at it. That is it. I appreciate you. I hope you learned something, or you didn't. But either way, I'll see you in a few days.